Warmest greetings to all my incredible subscribers and new viewers alike. Welcome to our video on Jane Peterson. We're thrilled to have you here. Jane Peterson was an American Impressionist and Expressionist painter. Her works used broad swaths of vibrant colors to combine an interest in light and in the depiction of spontaneous moments. She painted still lives, beach scenes along the Massachusetts coast, and scenes from her extensive travels. Her works are housed in museums such as the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the Museum of the City of New York, the National Museum of Women in the Arts and the Hirshhorn Museum in Washington D.C., and the Pennsylvania Academy of the Fine Arts and the Philadelphia Museum of Art in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. She was a Fellow of the National Academy of Design and taught at the Art Students League from 1913 to 1919. During her lifetime, Peterson was featured in more than 81 woman exhibitions. In this section, we'll be shedding light on early life and its impact on our understanding of the subject. Peterson was born in Elgin, Illinois, on November 28, 1876, as the daughter of an Elgin Watch Company employee and a homemaker. Though she was born as Jenny Christine, she changed her name to Jane right after she graduated from high school in 1894. She did not receive any formal art training as a child. At the 1893 Columbian Exposition in Chicago, she had the opportunity to view works by avant-garde Impressionist American artists such as Childhausen and Edmund Tarbell in the Art Gallery. In the Women's Building, she was able to view a wide range of their accomplishments, including large murals by Mary Cassatt and Mary McManus. In this chapter, we'll be unraveling the enigma of training and discovering its transformative power. At the Columbian Exposition, she also learned about the Pratt Institute, a fairly new technical school in Brooklyn, New York, and took an art aptitude test. She was accepted in the art department at Pratt in 1895, and Peterson borrowed $300 from her mother to study there. In 1901, she graduated and went on to study oil and watercolor painting at the Art Students League in New York City with Frank Dumond. In 1907, she extended her artistic career by taking a grand tour in Europe, visiting England, Holland, France, and Italy, providing an opportunity to learn from the masters. Peterson gained expert knowledge for painting techniques and composition from. As we embark on the next leg of our journey, let's unpack the layers of travel abroad and examine its core elements. Like many young artists of her time, Jane took several grand tours of the European continents, starting in 1907, and studied under several famous European artists, including Frank Brangwyn in Venice and London, Joaquin Sorolla in Madrid, and Jacques Blanche and André L. Haute in Paris. While in Paris, Peterson also became friends with American writer Gertrude Stein and art collector and critic Leo Stein, becoming a regular at the siblings' various gatherings where the guests included Pablo Picasso and Henri Matisse. She lived in rooms in Montparnasse located around the corner from Gertrude Stein's salon, where on Saturday evening artists and art enthusiasts would gather to view and discuss Stein's seminal collection of modern art. During her time in Paris, Peterson was surrounded by Fauvism, Expressionism, Impressionism, and the beginnings of Cubism. When she first arrived in Paris in 1907, Picasso was already paving the way with innovative and experimental techniques, displaying Fauvist tendencies and going beyond them. In 1910, Peterson traveled alone to Egypt and Algiers in North Africa, an extremely bold act for a woman in the early 20th century. In 1916, she joined Louis Comfort Tiffany for a transcontinental painting exhibition in his private railway car. Peterson traveled widely, painting from Maine to Florida and as far north as British Columbia. Her oil painting Florida Mangroves is in the permanent collection of the Norton Museum of Art in West Palm Beach, Florida. She visited Europe annually and spent 6 months in Turkey in 1924. Brace yourself for a captivating discussion on professional positions as we explore its nuances and implications. Shortly after graduation from Pratt in 1901, Peterson was appointed supervisor of drawing in Elmira, New York. In Boston, Massachusetts, she had a position as a drawing supervisor of public school teachers and also taught at the Maryland Institute in Baltimore. In 1912, Peterson started teaching watercolor at the Art Students League and became the drawing supervisor of the Brooklyn Public Schools. The spotlight now falls on later life as we delve deeper into its details. In 1925, at age 50, Peterson married a corporate lawyer, M. Bernard Phillip. Following her marriage, she spent summers in Ipswich, MA, and traveled less often. She had the opportunity to study and paint flowers, writing a book, Flower Painting, in 1946. A solo exhibit at the Newhouse Galleries in New York featured her floral paintings. 4 years after her husband's death, she married New Haven physician James South McCarty in 1939. Their marriage lasted for less than a year. Peterson died on August 14, 1965, on a trip to join their niece in Kansas. As we progress, let's zoom in on early influences and examine its role in shaping our overall narrative. In 1907, she studied with the Welsh artist Frank Brangwyn in Venice and London, Joaquin Sorolla in Madrid, and painter Jacques Blanche and sculptor André Lehaut in Paris. Under their guidance, she gained a diverse and expert knowledge of painting techniques and composition. In 1909, she went back to Europe and studied under Joaquin Sorolla y Bastia in Madrid. Of all her mentors, Sorolla had the most influence upon Peterson's style. Peterson's canvases become more daring with color, as layers of loose brushstrokes combine to represent the shimmer of summer's light in southern Europe. It was Sorolla who persuaded Peterson to follow him to New York, where he had been commissioned to do a portrait of Louis Comfort Tiffany, the founder of the Tiffany and Company. At Tiffany's invitation, Peterson joined the artistic circle at Laurelton, his summer estate in Oyster Bay, Long Island. Her trips with Tiffany inspired her work. In 1916, Peterson joined Tiffany in a painting adventure and expedition to Alaska and the Canadian Northwest. In 1912, Peterson went back to Paris, where she associated with the members of the American Art Association, which included American Impressionist painter Frederick Carl Friesig. Her interest in watercolor started at this time. Now, let's shift our perspective and explore artistic style through a fresh lens, unlocking new perspectives. Peterson's work is hard to put into one or two single categories of art. Actually, her works are more like a blend of several most prominent styles in the turn of the 20th century under the influence of her academic artistic training. Of many influences in both America and across Europe: Impressionism, Neo and Post-Impressionism, Art Nouveau, Nobby, and Fauvism. Peterson loved to use loose brushwork and bold colors in her paintings. From 1910 through 1916, Peterson became increasingly linked stylistically to fellow American Maurice Prendergast. They shared similar interests in subject matter, and both had traveled and studied in Europe. Peterson and Prendergast had comparable technical skills of astute observation and loved colorful subjects, but Peterson's linear movement is more aggressively flowing than Prendergast's. Gradually, they each developed a unique style, according to Charlotte Striefer Rubinstein. In the following segment, we'll be examining subjects of her painting in greater detail. Peterson's paintings of people, events, and scenery reflect her travels around the globe, rather than the more conventional domestic scenes. For example, during World War I, Peterson joined the war effort painting military portraits and patriotic scenes of women rolling bandages and folding blankets at the Red Cross Center. Spending 6 months in Turkey in 1924, she painted street scenes in the Islamic cities of Constantinople and Bursa. Peterson shared the stories she uncovered while traveling, and explored in her paintings the differences between the lives of others and her own life. She relished her status as an independent, female American artist, seeing the world and interpreting it for other Americans. Prepare yourself for an in-depth analysis of exhibitions in this section. a solo exhibition of Peterson's work held in 1908 at the Société d'Artistes Français won much acclaim among Parisian critics and resulted in one viewer setting up an exhibition at the Street Botolph Club in Boston in 1909 of her earlier works. She also exhibited at the Nola Gallery in New York City and at Bendahn's Art Gallery in Baltimore, Maryland. From 1910 to 1914, Peterson had her own exhibitions at the Art Institute of Chicago, Illinois. The 1910 exhibition included works she painted in Egypt and Algeria. She also participated in many group shows such as the American Watercolor Society and the New York Society of Painters, both in New York City, and the Baltimore Watercolor Club in Maryland. Get ready to uncover the mysteries surrounding works as we navigate its intriguing terrain. 3 of Peterson's works are held by the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Parade was created with gouache, watercolor, charcoal, and graphite on paper, and Turkish Fountain with Garden from Louis Celsius. Tiffany Estate, Oyster Bay created with oil and charcoal on canvas in 1910. Venetian Summer was painted in oil on canvas. Marco Fleurs, oil on canvas, painted while in Paris in 1908, is held in the Terra Foundation collection. The Floats was appraised on PBS Antiques Roadshow in October 2014. She was selected as the Most Outstanding Individual of the Year for her artistic achievement by the American Historical Society in 1938. During World War I, she produced 4 portraits representing women in each branch of the military. These portraits were auctioned for $211,000 to build a war memorial. Her works were featured in Jane Peterson, At Home and Abroad, shown in 2018 at the Columbia Museum of Art, the Mattituck Museum, the Long Island Museum of Art, and the Hyde Collection, Glens Falls, New York. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss an update from my channel.